Hi, welcome back to Trading Hour on CNBC TV 18. It's looking pretty good for the market. In fact, a lot of commodity stocks are really surging today. So you have JSW Steel, Tata Steel from the steel space that's up about 7%. Titan has been one stock that has been gaining so much ground. In fact, in the last 15 days, it's gone from 800 all the way up to 950. So that's almost a 20% gain that Titan has seen in just 15 days. But talking about commodities and commodity related stocks, Manisha Gupta, our editor, is with us to give us some more details on how that space is shaping up today. Hi Manisha, over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Sonia. Well, yes, we have started the industrial commodities on a positive note today. The metal prices seem to be doing well, and the crude oil prices, after gaining 80% for the month of May, which is the biggest ever monthly gain, we have seen prices continue to hold kind of steady in Asia right now. There is a lot to look at, but if I look at the kind of demand numbers that we're looking at, there is recovery there. There is decline in inventories as well, and record supply cuts also seems to be supporting the crude prices as we stand right now. Joining us is Yaw Yan Chong. He's Director of Oil Research and Forecast Asia at Refinitiv. Yaw, hi, good to have you. What is your sense, first of all, when it comes to demand? Because we have seen quite a destruction there for the months of March and April and May as well. Are we looking at a bit of a recovery right now? What are the numbers that you're working with in crude amid COVID?
Actually, the month of May, we have seen very strong demand recovery in Asia. Among the top four refining centers in Asia, meaning China, India, Korea, and Japan, imports are actually at a record high of 21.8 million barrels per day. Okay, so this is led by China, which is also had record high imports at 11.4 million barrels per day, and South Korea at 3.5 million barrels per day. However, for India and Japan, the imports are below average, and India is currently at 4.1 million barrels per day, and Japan at 2.7 million barrels per day. These are numbers based on our research. Yeah, and if you look at the other thing to look at would be refinery runs. So while the imports are at the highest, refinery runs are still a little bit below average. For Asia as a whole, refinery runs are at 87.6% of capacity. So, however, if you look at the countries individually, we have China and Korea having runs that are above 90%, meaning they have recovered. But for India and Japan, runs are still well below average. India is at 76%, and Japan has been under 80% since March.
Point taken. So clearly Asia seems to be leading the recovery, as you said. Not so much for India and Japan, though. This is about the demand part of it here. What's your sense on the supplies? Because we have seen near record supply cut coming in from OPEC and allies. The meeting that they were supposed to hold on 9th and 10th of June now has been preponed to 4th of June, is what the markets tell us. What is your sense on the supplies and inventories globally now?
Okay, from a supply perspective, obviously there is that massive historic production cut for May and June at 9.7 million barrels per day for each month. However, how has compliance been? Based on what we have, the numbers for May, only from the OPEC members, yeah? So not the others, not Russia and the other members of the alliance. For OPEC alone, the compliance for May is at about 75%. So I would say that that's not fantastic, right? And the laggards in terms of compliance are Iraq and Nigeria mainly, both of whom are at compliance of under 40%. However, the alliance, as you have said, has preponed the meeting to June 4th, and the agenda would be to extend the May and June cuts beyond June. Okay, because the original plan was for them to reduce the cuts to 7.7 million barrels per day from July, right up to December. So now they're talking about extending it for anything between 1 to 3 months.
Point taken. You're coming on the crude oil price expectation now, and it has been very volatile, is what we've seen in last 3 or 4 months. Negative for the first time ever is what we've already done in 2020. So while there is recovery, and as you said, the supply and demand numbers do look good as well, what is your sense on prices then going forward from here?
Oh, actually, for May, the price have been fairly stable. We have been hovering around $35 a barrel. And today we are at above 37, right? So on Friday night, there was a big charge, I think probably driven by the OPEC initiative to extend the production cuts. And I would expect prices to stay around sort of $35 per barrel level in the short term. And I mean, you must look at it that, I mean, April was probably the worst month oil has ever had on record for a long time, right? But since then, fundamentals have improved. Right? Countries are starting to come out of lockdown, demand is slowly coming back, you know. However, I would caution that in the longer term, right, whether things would go back to pre-outbreak levels, it depends on whether how the virus develops, whether a vaccine can be found soon, and whether there's no second wave infection elsewhere, right? But today, I would say the risk is greater in the West than in Asia, because look at the numbers. The US is still the highest number of infections at about 1.8 million and 105,000 deaths, right? And the current explosion of cases in South America, especially Brazil, is a cause for concern.
Yaw, thank you so much for joining. It really has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for giving out those numbers out as well. So Prashant, clearly, as Yaw also says, that the worst is behind us. There is demand recovery, and the crude prices from here on will see gradual increase.
Manisha, thanks very much. There are some announcements at the bottom of the screen. This is with regards to the cabinet meeting today. Let's just have the flashes back on the screen, and I'll just read them out once again. But I think just wait for it for a second, and then we'll take that quick break. Okay, I think we will take a break, and then I'll come back and read what was going on across the screen as a flash. But as we take that break, here's something that, okay, all right, I'm just going to stick with the cabinet announcement. This is the CNBC Awaaz exclusive. Cabinet may formalize announcements made by the finance minister on agriculture and MSMEs, medium and small enterprises. So the cabinet agenda today, I mean, some of it is getting clearer via the CNBC Awaaz exclusive. CNBC Awaaz, of course, is our sister channel. The cabinet may formalize announcements which were made by the finance minister on agriculture and MSMEs. This is part of the announcements which was made by the finance minister as she put out, the various fiscal stimulus measures in parts. So that is what is coming through. I mean, those announcements started on the 13th of May, and it was spread out over 5 days. Over 5 parts. So a lot of, as part of it towards the end, the last 2 or 3 days, there were announcements with regards to revamping agricultural markets, how MSMEs, supporting MSMEs, etc. So this is, the exclusive from Awaaz suggests that the cabinet meeting today will formalize some of the announcements made by the finance minister, specifically with regards to agriculture and MSMEs. Cabinet likely to approve proposal to change the MSME definition. So yeah, this was something which was approved back then over those 5 days, and they may also, so I think it's the same stuff which is coming up. Cabinet may formalize, Cabinet may replace APMC Act with a new act via an ordinance. All right, this is also something which the finance minister had spoken about, and we'll need to get to the nitty-gritties of what is being, what is replacing the current act. A new act may allow farmers to sell, across the country, basically. That is the general idea which is coming through. We will take a very quick break here. We'll come back with some of this and probably get our CNBC Awaaz reporter to comment on this as well, who's getting us the information. But as we take a break, here's something that you, our viewers, must take note of. CNBC TV 18 and the NSE have come together to promote investor awareness through a special campaign, Informed Investor, that empowers you to make the right decisions with your money. If you invest in stock markets, you probably know about contract notes. It's a legal record of all transactions carried out in your account on a trading day. While you may trust your broker to transact on your behalf, do insist on obtaining contract notes, bills and ledgers within 24 hours of any transaction. Take time out to verify these transactions with your broker. You may also verify trades on the NSE website.